gentlemen, welcome to Squad League, the biggest five-a-side tournament in Africa, and this podcast brings you exclusively that much closer to Africa's biggest tournament. It's myself and Aromi here, and we're joined by some esteemed guests. Aromi, bro, you know, before we go to our guests, bro, you are the one guy that has the closest relationships with the teams. And that's why we needed you on this episode.
Really?
Yeah, that's why we needed you on this episode. But I'm sure the guys themselves will have a lot to say about their interaction with Squad League. But I'm joined by Shane, manager of TurfBoys, the first team to qualify for the main event. And you know what? I need a special intro for Slim. You know what I mean? I don't want to say the most controversial guy, but he's the most outspoken, the most charismatic, the most, I don't know, man.
Yeah.
How much you pay? What's that now? What's that?
Slim,
Yes.
my brother, you know, I hear a lot of stories about you, right?
Good things, I hope.
Good things.
Okay.
Good things. But interesting things as well.
Okay.
First one is, what team do you actually manage? Who is in your team, bro?
FSF.
Okay.
Yeah.
Who's in FSF?
You know the players. You know the players.
Yeah.
I've got my core 3 players.
Yeah.
Drogba,
Yeah.
Humelo, and Josh. Those
Okay.
are my core players.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, interestingly enough, the
Yes.
first qualifiers happened
At my venue.
at your venue.
Yes.
And your team didn't qualify. What happened?
That man there sitting next to you was the ref.
The winner.
Was the ref.
The winner of the qualifier.
ref.
He was the ref. It was a very tough game. We were playing against the
Yeah.
TurfBoys. It went to extra time.
Yeah.
And in the last minute, TurfBoys scored a sliding goal.
Yeah.
And we were out. And they took the
You
30,000.
emphasize on sliding goal.
Yes, it was a sliding goal. We need to put it up on poll and let the
Ref.
public decide.
So you were reffing that game.
I
or-
was reffing the game.
So Slim emphasizes that it was a sliding goal, and I'm gonna get Shane's thoughts now. But I want to know from a reffing perspective, do you agree with Slim?
all I want to say is there was a player of Slim's FSF. I won't mention names.
Okay.
He was there and he told me, he's like, bro, that was a goal. That was a perfect goal.
Yeah.
Obviously, football is not officiated by robots, right?
Yeah.
It's officiated by human beings. And there will always be, number one, room for error. Number two, in how you interpret the game.
Yeah.
And how I interpreted that goal wasn't a slide. The losing team always has a lot of excuses.
Fair. I mean, that's the biggest conversation in
shade.
football in general. You know, the losing team always has something to say about the ref. But when you're winning, you know, there's no complaints about that.
No, I'll call out the ref, whether I'm winning or whether I'm losing. I'll
Hey,
call out the ref.
I
Shane.
second that.
Yeah.
I second that. I
Okay.
mean,
Definitely.
Okay.
I mean, he
so-
knows. I mean, we had a chat to them about the referees. We won the tournament fairly,
Yeah.
and I still had my comments to say about the referees. So it is what it is.
Okay, so at least it was fair across the board. Fair across the board. Now, speaking of FSF, you guys were invited to season 1,
Correct.
and you guys performed fairly well.
Yeah.
Now, coming into season 2, what do you think, other than obviously having this qualifier phase of the tournament, do you think it's a lot more harder? Do you think it's easier? Is the competition a little bit more stiff? What are the biggest differences coming into season 2?
Well, season 1 was per invite.
Yeah.
Now they obviously rolled it out to the whole country.
Yeah.
The best of the best five-a-side teams are going to meet in Tax.
Yeah.
So it's going to be a tough one. We came to come try our lucky and XP.
Yeah.
And the competition was tough, guys.
Yeah.
No, it was tough.
Yeah.
Big ups to the XP guys, to the 5 squad guys.
Yeah.
They did a really good job with that one.
Now, Shane, you were the first team to open the doors to the main event. I'm sure you were happy you got it out the way. Very easy. But with anything this new, and I'm sure you saw from season 1, if you did see season 1, that, you know what, it's not going to be easy. Being the first guy to mark their spot, you've had pretty much more time to, you know, prepare for the main event. Has that been easy? Has that been difficult? How has that journey been?
I wouldn't say more time to prepare
Yeah.
because it's been more crazy on my end,
Really?
especially being the first team that's qualified.
Yeah.
I think right after that weekend, we had another meeting with the team the Monday when we played our league match that day. And right after that, I got into it. They said, you know what, guys, we're the first team that's qualified. And you guys need to understand there's big stakes involved here. So immediately I told the guys, we are going to start getting a lot of people approaching us, chats coming up, so we need to expect a lot to come.
Yeah.
And it did come, and unfortunately, for now, things hasn't been so smooth the way I thought it would be.
Yeah.
Although we all agreed on that particular day that no, we all in this together. We're not going to let anybody come in and come and, mess around with us. And
So I want to
change our
backtrack here for a
decisions,
bit.
so-
Sorry for jumping in, right? I want to backtrack here. So you say you won your qualifiers and you had a team meeting, everything was all good and well, and you anticipated people to approach you. So now when you say people approaching you, are you saying to join the team or are they poaching players? What exactly does that look like?
it's basically all of that.
Yeah.
All of that. People obviously approaching my players, paying my players to play with them. I mean, you guys seen in the qualifiers,
Yeah,
they were
yeah.
playing there. When I mentioned it was a case of, look, is it a problem that they're playing there and things like that? Because, they're getting money.
Yeah.
And they don't work. So it's like difficult to make a decision there and then to say, no, but you're not allowed to go and play there.
Yeah.
Because I've never really felt that I should actually, clamp them down just to TurfBoys.
Yeah,
Because
yeah.
if it's, money for them to put food on the table, why not? I'm not
Yeah,
going
yeah.
to stop them from doing
Yeah.
that. So my agreement with them is, look, guys, if you want to go out there and do it, you need to understand it's on you. It's not nothing to do with us as TurfBoys, and I'm not going to stop you. If you want to go there, you're there on your own.
Now, is this something that you experienced for the first time, or is it something that has been a problem in your encounter as a manager of a 5's team? Have you always had a situation where people are hounding or poaching your players, or has this now been a thing because of the stakes that are currently, up for grabs, being the 30,000 rand for the qualifiers as well as the 500,000 for the main event?
Yes, it's basically the tournament.
Yeah.
So, we've been playing this game for almost 20 years. So this is the first time ever that I have this particular issues. Even the way how team used to be run, the dynamics about it, how we used to do the sharing a lot, all of that's now changed ever since this tournament. So that's why we had this huge meeting also yesterday to discuss things and how we go forward with this thing. So yeah, it's a bit of a weird one for me. Like I said, for over the 20 years, I've never had this. So since this tournament, there's big monies involved, and now all of these things are coming my way. So
I want you to hold that thought right there, right? With the the problems that come with going into a main event here. But I want to bring Slim in here. Is that something you also experienced, or you're happy because you mentioned core 3 players in your team? Are you now saying you've got the core 3 and you kind of like rotate the rest of the slots are open to anybody else in terms of the rest of the team, or this also became a problem for you when it comes to, working your way to the main event, especially with the qualifiers?
No, definitely. It is a problem. There are some main teams that have financial muscle
Okay.
that can obviously pull the better players. Same thing with TurfBoys. There are players who played for us in the semi-finals when we had it at Old Parks, but we couldn't use them when we had XP. It's due to that we can't offer them what other people are offering them. But we also do try help the players. The players, this is what they need. This is what they use to put food on the table. We don't have that financial muscle, but I try with all means that I have to support the guys.
Now, this brings me to an interesting topic, right? And Arome, I'm sure you're the best person to talk about this. There's been a lot of questions raised about regulations, not just for Squad League, but we'll focus this on Squad League, but regulations in 5's in general, and particularly because of the prize money for Squad League, regulations in Squad League. Now, player transfers is one of them. Transparency as to who plays for what team and not having guys hop around different teams. In as much as, the managers are saying, some of these guys rely on this income that comes from, these tournaments. But now is a big tournament. How difficult is it for us as Squad League to kind of like put regulations in place to kind of like help the managers and the teams as well?
I think firstly, it's not yet a professional league, professional setup. It's still social. We can call it social.
Yeah.
And with that social tag to it, we can't be too strict to tie players to teams. But obviously going forward, I think with any governing body, with FIFA, with CAF, with whatever,
Yeah.
there was how things were done and there's how things are being done now.
Yeah,
You know? So I think going forward, we definitely do need to look into how things can be more fair for
Yeah.
the teams and for the players, and try and meet, each other halfway.
So
I
just
think.
just for perspective, right? Especially to the managers. So as it stands, teams will only be locked in at the main event, right? So you're gonna have to register a team in the main event, and that's the team you'll play with for the whole tournament. Are you guys now saying you would like to see this implemented a lot sooner? So from qualification phase, lock in so people don't come and poach your players.
I think it should build up to there, because you guys are obviously trying to build a professional product.
Yeah.
So it should build up to there. Okay, it's fine that you're starting it now at the main event, but then you should then from the next event work it back.
Yeah.
I don't know, and then you work it back. But it should get to that point where you can only use the players that you qualified with.
Then how does that kind of strain your relationship with the players? Because now it's going to look like you're blocking them from making money with other teams. Don't you think that's going to like strain the relationship with the players a bit?
Look, I don't think so, because at the beginning, my understanding was that you had to obviously fill in your forms, supply your copy of IDs, and supply your team list before the qualifiers. So I would have assumed that would have been there and then, and that was the point already where you secured who your players were.
Yeah.
And obviously, if you've made it and you won your qualifier, that the names are there.
Yeah.
So that's what is my assumption on this, and I never knew that it wasn't going to be like that. So obviously later on I did have my discussion with these guys regarding that, and I think they just made it a little bit more tougher for us to manage. But I still feel it needs to be done. I think at the qualifying stages, it also puts less pressure on us. The boys need to understand that. I mean, it is what it is. We can't be.
I mean, that's
put
the
under
nature of
pressure the way it
football.
is at the moment.
There is some sort of loyalty that's expected
Yeah.
from players as well, right?
Correct.
To the team. Now, Shane, I don't know how comfortable you are talking about this, right? But there's a player that I met from TurfBoys, who then I found playing for another team right after you qualified.
Yes.
And there were some pressure points that he probably wasn't comfortable with disclosing. I don't know what it is, whether it be from a relationship perspective or financial perspective. Now, with seeing players leave your team like that, surely it wasn't on a good term. If a player is going to leave, and especially after you've qualified, right? If a player is going to leave, then comes back and says, "No, I'm sorry, I want to come back into the team." Would you let them back?
That was the big debate last night in
Yeah.
our meeting. So I think from my point of view, I wouldn't say we left in bad terms at the beginning. So we did have a discussion. Obviously, I listened to what the players' issues were.
Yeah.
And I understand where he's coming from, but also our team has their own principles, their own ways of obviously doing
100%,
things.
yeah.
And we're not the same as the next team. So our team is more like a family team. It's supposed to be like a brotherhood. We're all there for one another.
100%, yeah.
And you know how the players are. The players feel like if you've played more, you should get paid more. That was basically the issue.
I see.
So
I
for
see.
me, because he felt like he needed to get more than the others,
Yeah.
that was the issue.
I see.
And how we left is I said, you know what, my friend, here's more. I paid him out more. And I said, if you want to go, then you go. But if you stay, you need to stay on our terms. Be the same level as the rest of the guys. That's the ruling here. So it was his decision to leave. It's not my decision. So
I see.
He took what he wanted and then he left.
I see. So that's where it goes back to the conversation you were having about, you've been doing this for a long time and it's always been fair, it's always been standard. You didn't change anything coming into Squad League.
Yes.
But now that the prize money is up, the eyes are getting bigger and I deserve a bigger share.
Yes. That's the
So
whole thing.
with that being said, again, the question stands. Letting them back in, does that not now compromise the values that you've built for the club, and especially the other players that chose to stay, despite this uproar of finances and people quote unquote acting like superstars and divas in the team?
Yeah. No, we had a very intense discussion about it yesterday. From the team, more from the team side, it was a case of, okay, fine, let's give this guy another chance, but obviously they need to come and need to understand that going forward, this is going to be the rules and nothing's going to change after that. So, I mean, the team is willing to give that person another chance because like I said, we supposed to be like a brotherhood. I mean, majority of us are friends and family, close relatives. I mean, your father knows my father. You know,
Yeah.
that's how we are.
Yeah.
So we've always been just the guys from the same circle.
Yeah.
If you look, we don't have players from different areas playing
Yeah.
in this team. We're
Yeah.
all from the same kasi.
Yeah.
You see.
Yeah.
And I've always said that's why I want to keep it is
Yeah.
with those boys. So it's like a case of me now saying, fine, okay, my brother, I forgive you.
Yeah.
And let's make means and let's see if we can, do something better and take it forward and move forward.
Now, the
So-
flip side of that coin, right? In as much as, you've built this team based on loyalty and, brotherhood and, the relationship you guys have with each other.
Yeah, yeah.
The flip side of the coin is now, what if then better players, from other teams then come in and say, you know what, I kind of like what you guys have built and I want to join this team.
Yeah.
How does that complicate your picking process of, okay, do I take the more experienced players and, guys that are coming from bigger teams, because they believe in the system and these values that we've built over taking guys that I grew up with and, we've got a family relationship with?
Yeah. Look, I've had it a lot over the couple of years. Every day I get invites on Instagram, people sending me messages wanting to join the team. And unfortunately, I haven't opened up the door to the outside world.
Okay.
So all of these guys, I normally tell them, look, guys, I will let you know if I do that one day. But for now, it's still closed doors. It's still the same people we're currently working with, and that's it.
So, just a quick one. So the same kind of loopholes that other teams are using to poach your players, you would not use that to your advantage, basically.
The nice thing is that TurfBoys currently consists of 14 members. You need only 8 to play. So if there's 6 runs to go, I still got 8 left. And I trust each and every person. I'm not going to do something now and say, okay, fine, I need this best player because I want to win the tournament. That's now really taking my whole team's integrity and what I've built and what we're all about out the door. That's now worrying about just winning the money. So it's not that. That's not for me. That's not my thinking. Maybe some of the other players might feel that way. That's why they act the way they act. But unfortunately, if you're not for what this team is about, then there's the door. There you go.
Slim,
Yes, sir.
you have a different way of operating.
Correct.
brother. So
Correct.
you you open to the whole concept of transfers,
Yes.
of bringing in different players. What is the criteria for that? Like, are you just basing it on skill? Is there a way of vetting these players? Because I feel like you got a very straightforward approach. You want the best, you want to win, let's move forward.
Correct.
This thing of we are family, we're having dinner, we are what?
Second half. so I'm stuck in a predicament where I run 5-a-side leagues every night. So I obviously scout from my different nights, seeing which players can fit into the system and so on. So I've got the core, and then we'd look at every different night to see, okay, maybe this player can assist us and so on, which is probably has been kind of bad for me because obviously there's no consistency in that. And that obviously leaves players out to then be taken by other teams because they don't have a home to stay in. So that's where I am. So I think that was my issue with my team.
So this transfer thing, that's still very much a gray area in squad league. This works to your advantage.
It does. Then I can be able to lock players down.
Yeah.
Correct.
I laugh, but I mean, there is an upside to all of that because you've got room to pick the best of the best.
Correct.
But now the challenge is locking them in. You say it like it's easy, but from Shane's experience, it seems like, it's not easy to build or to buy someone's loyalty into a team. Because if they can easily leave a team to join yours, they could do the same to your team.
Correct. So if we want to participate in squad league, and we get our best team to start with us, and we're able to lock them in, then at least that will force them to be loyal to us.
Yeah.
Correct.
Okay.
By
Interesting
regulations.
times.
Slim,
Interesting times.
Do you think you do not suffer from perhaps what PSG suffered over the years, whereby you're
You mean with Mbappe?
your blessing
and
is your
Neymar
curse.
And
You
could
just
be.
have too many options, and
It could be. And look, yesterday PSG lost, just like I lost. Yeah.
Wow, this is interesting because, like, we talk about regulations, right? But because 5's is still, I mean, I use this term very loosely to say it's still a growing kind of format in official South African football. We don't have like a big league, well, other than squad league, of course, you know, where we're used to certain set of rules, because we saw it when we go into the qualifiers. Certain cities are not used to certain rules, you know, so we have to reintroduce what the actual 5's rules are. Okay. But now, with that being said, how much more involvement do we need as squad league to involve managers to say, okay, this is what we're going for, this is how the rules are going to work? Would you like us to just set the rules and set them in stone, or do you want it to be a roundtable conversation with managers, you know, just to kind of accommodate things like these where it might not work for you for these transfers, but it might work for Slip?
I think if you put it on a platform, you're going to have many different answers and so on.
Yeah.
So you guys have to decide what are the rules, and then everybody must stick to those rules. I
Okay.
think that's the best way.
Yeah, look, it's been like that across how
Yeah.
many leagues I've played.
Yeah.
You got your 5's, which has their own rules. Then you get your Soweto Futsal League, for example. Like when we play there, they've got their own set of rules. You go to Centurion, they got their own set of rules.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's basically like you make it unique as long as it works,
Yeah.
as long as it's fair. You see, because I know some rules for me it's just not fair, especially like a player that can hold the ball and just defend it, and you're saying, fine, you're not allowing 2 to tackle 1.
Yeah.
I mean, it's time wasting. So,
Yeah, yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
what's the sense of having a rule like that?
Yeah.
So,
And some teams use it to their advantage, you know,
Yeah.
because if you're not familiar with the rules, you find yourself committing a lot more fouls, and you know you kind of like kill the momentum of the team, or you know, and it slows your game down a lot faster.
I know. I've been in a match where a team was holding the ball for literally 2 minutes. Nobody could get the ball.
Yeah.
Purely because of that rule. Because they got a red card in the match, and they just needed to run the time.
Run the time down.
But
I mean, so
obviously
that
to-
just avoids the
To
purpose
stop
of playing
that,
the game.
we have that 5
Yeah.
seconds rule
Yeah.
where, you know, we want you to use the ball.
Need
So
to
you
use
don't
it.
just back because
Yeah,
you know,
but
you
that's
kill
that's
the
why
game.
I'm saying is I'm just making an example. Like that was one of the issues
One
that
of
you
the
have
issues.
basically.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I've seen obviously with Squad League it's different.
Yeah.
You've applied that, which is actually good, and I like that.
Yeah.
Slim, brother.
Yes, sir.
So, season 1, you were one of our, I don't know if I should call you the antagonist or the protagonist. So, you were one of our main characters in season 1, and there's a clip of you, you know, kind of striking deals there on the side, saying, hey, you know what, let's do this thing together.
Which one? In the qualifiers.
Yeah. No. Season 1. Season 1, when the tournament was going, you know, because, you know,
Yeah.
you seem like a very smart man.
Okay.
You're a solution-orientated
Correct.
man.
I don't
So-
remember that. Anyway.
We'll play the clip
Yeah.
back. We'll play the clip back.
That's what we here for. But
So tell me,
Yeah.
do you think that should be something that, in this conversation of regulations, do you think that's something that should be allowed to say, you know what, Slim and Shane are saying we're having a coalition together, 500,000, let's do this thing together.
Guys, it's inevitable. It's going to happen.
You think so?
It's going to happen. And there's also instances where some teams have 2 teams.
Yeah,
So if they make it to the top 4, top 2,
100%. That's a valid point.
It's
though.
going to happen.
That's a valid point.
And also, teams do strike deals with each other.
Mm.
And you guys haven't said it's not allowed. And there are teams that wouldn't want to do it. So
So now we know, Roman. Now we're taking notes. Don't worry. We've got this on camera. We're taking notes. We're gonna refine those.
Listen,
rules.
we don't want
No,
teams
definitely.
splitting
Yeah.
cash.
No.
But
Yeah,
at the
yeah.
end of the days, if Shane has 10,000 rand and I say, hey Shane, man, can you borrow me 5,000?
guys, there was a sorry, Arume.
Yeah, no.
There was an instant in the game in Hatfield where Tequila just needed the other team to draw.
Yeah.
All right?
Yeah.
And then the players just kicked the ball around the whole game
Facts.
to get Tequila out.
Facts.
Because they had played a league game at Discovery during the week where they'd beat them 5-0. So they were paying them back for that. So there's those kind of things. Exactly. It's going to happen.
Interesting. Now we know.
It happened.
Now
Yeah,
we
I
know.
saw
We're,
that.
ta-
I
we're
saw
taking
that.
notes. We're taking notes.
saw that.
Now, back to the action.
Yeah.
What is it like going to somebody's backyard and knocking them out at the final.
Eish, you know, in fact, we played each other in the group stages as well.
Yeah,
The first
we
match.
drew, eh?
And we drew after us
2-2.
being 2-0 up.
Yeah.
So already there I felt like, oh, what's going on here? Because now everything was turning around.
Yeah.
Ref was making weird choices, weird calls. And obviously we're like, this is the home team. They're
Yeah.
being favored.
Yeah.
So, I mean, we end up drawing the game. And we're like, oh. And then already that time I was like, we're against each other.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it was a difficult one. Although I had to leave, I wasn't there for the final, unfortunately, because I had other commitments. But even the final, apparently, it was just so intense.
Yeah.
And apparently we were 4-1 up, I think.
Yeah.
And I mean, to end up being 4-4 and then playing extra time afterwards, I was like really surprised. I was shocked.
Yeah.
So yeah, I did hear a couple of issues that happened during the final, especially like Slim is complaining about that sliding goal. So yeah, but we also had a couple of videos also of incidences where the referee also made a couple of calls which I also didn't understand. So apparently he was the ref.
Yeah.
So it is now what it is.
Yeah.
But I'm just glad we got through it
Yeah.
at the end of the day and made it to the finals.
The ref is corrupt against the home team.
Yeah.
With a favorite goal.
Look, we need to understand it wasn't the same referee though.
Okay.
Group stage and finals, different referee. So I can't say though.
One thing I can tell you is that there's the rules that are just as strict for teams and players are what's going to apply now with the referees, because there's a lot more money at stake.
Correct.
You know, R500,000 is not child's play. You know,
Yeah.
100,000 rand was already a lot of money.
Yeah.
But 500,000 is a lot more at stake. But going back to that final, you then lose the final in your own home ground, had a second bite at the cherry, and still didn't go the way that you hoped it would. What's the plan now?
Actually, it went worse.
It did go worse. Very bad.
Yeah.
But that's football.
Yeah.
You can see PSG won the Euros, and yesterday they lost in the
Yeah.
in the Club World Cup.
Yeah.
South Africa is about to kick Nigeria out the African Cup,
Ish.
and I'm gonna love it because Ramuna's gonna be very angry. Yeah. No, we're gonna regroup, guys.
Yeah.
I love this concept that you guys have, and I will be back.
Yeah.
I'm gonna be there to come and support. I might be part of a team, so you haven't kicked me out yet. So I'm not out.
You know,
Yeah.
the antagonist and
Yes.
protagonist is
I will be
Slim.
there.
Look, guys, it's been fantastic having you guys here, especially having a conversation with, you know, the manager side of things. You know, we didn't know there was a lot of, you know, hurdles that come with having qualified, because it must be a lot harder for you, because where do you then start your preparations if this is happening to your team? Because you don't want to go into the main event on a back foot and guys not, you know, mentally ready. And for Slim also preparing for, you know, next season could be $1 million. You don't know. Hey, but you see, he's gonna come with more tricks. This guy.
Put in 6 teams.
Well, there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. Episode 3 of Squad League, Africa's biggest five-a-side tournament. You heard it from the managers themselves that it's not easy. In as much as you watch these episodes and you're like, you know what, we could do better than those guys. It's tough. The management side of it, the training and the preparation side of it, R500,000 rand is not child's play. But 18th to 20th July, Tux Arena is where the main event of season 2 is going to be happening. Rembrandt's Hall. Get your tickets, come support. You know, there's going to be music, food. You know, it's not just football. It's everything that comes with it, the lifestyle element of it. So make sure you join us at Squad League, Africa's biggest five-a-side tournament.
Good luck, Shane.